The following is produced by 5 Star Productions USA, which is solely responsible for its editorial content and is sponsored in part by a grant from Paul Mitchell Salon Hair Care.
Americans drive their cars over 4 billion miles every day, and that guzzles over 200 million gallons of gasoline. It also leaves 4 billion pounds of carbon dioxide emissions floating in the air. Every time you take the bus, carpool, bicycle, or walk instead of driving, you save energy and help keep our air cleaner. Hi, I'm Ed Begley Jr., and this is Today's Environment, where we focus on what's happening on this Earth to preserve our planet. You've probably heard the saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Well, with today's recycling programs, that's never been more true. We all throw out materials that could be recycled. After this next story, I think you'll agree, it's time we stop treating our trash like trash.
When you cuddle up with these pillows and blankets, you're hugging your environment too. Why? Well, because the pillow stuffing in the blanket itself comes from totally recycled textile waste. Waste that otherwise might be stuffing our landfills beyond capacity. For many years, the textile industry has been scoring high marks for recycling much of its own waste. You probably have several recycled textile products in your home right now. Pillows, furniture, mattresses, and carpet padding routinely use reprocessed fibers for stuffing and padding.
Inside your car's door panels or under the trunk liner, recycled textiles provide the sound reduction that make today's cars so quiet. In fact, the demand for textile industry waste has created a market so competitive that many reprocessing companies often bid against one another for the waste from major textile manufacturers.
But until recently, one type of textile waste had too few recycling applications: apparel cuttings. Scraps of materials left over from the millions of blue jeans, shirts, dresses, and other clothing produced each year. Much of this waste still ends up in landfills. One longtime pioneer in the field of reprocessing textile waste, Lee Fibers, joined forces with Greenwood Mills, a major textile producer, to develop an alternative use for the thousands of tons of apparel scraps headed for the dump. Working with the original process innovator, a former builder, a new application was found: insulation. The cotton blend apparel scraps can produce an excellent form of insulation. This new recycled material functions perfectly as an alternative to fiberglass. In some cases, better, because it possesses the same insulating qualities known as R values, but it doesn't itch. Now made by Greenwood Cotton Insulation Products, this new product requires less energy to produce than fiberglass, has been treated to make it fire retardant, and is comparable in price to fiberglass. Innovations and new applications for waste products often take cooperative efforts between several different businesses. The producer worked with machinery manufacturers and the original innovator to design a new patented production process. And the textile waste processor coordinated the collection of waste from numerous clothing manufacturers and co-developed appropriate fiber blends to ensure the consistent delivery of reprocessed fibers to the new plant. Development and coordination can get complicated and financially risky, but the effort is worth it. One new recycled product can eliminate thousands of tons of waste from being dumped uselessly into already overburdened landfills.
So let's take a lesson from the textile industry and think about what's in our own trash. With a little imagination and brainstorming, we just might find the building blocks to help us improve an existing product or create a new one.
How about some good news? By recycling aluminum cans, in 1 year, Americans saved enough energy to power all the homes in New York City for 6 months. Keep up the good work, recycle, and get involved with today's environment today.
Go into any supermarket and you can find products to clean everything from diapers to dishes. But what if something's dirty yet invisible, like the air? How can we clean something we cannot touch or see? This next story takes a look.
The modern factory. What comes off the assembly line isn't always the only product that leaves the plant. Chemicals and toxins from the manufacturing processes often get vented and sent off into the atmosphere. The EPA designates 179 air pollutants produced by industry as hazardous. To combat those noxious fumes, many factories install air scrubbers that clean the exhaust running through the vents before it escapes. These high-tech air filters can significantly improve the quality of the exhaust leaving a plant, but some chemicals, especially chlorine-based compounds like chloroform, manage to avoid the filtration capabilities of most scrubbers. Now, an emerging scrubbing technology takes aim at those hard-to-destroy chemicals. This halogenated organic gas destruction unit, made by Quantum Technologies, can destroy chloroform and other halogen-bearing volatile compounds in the vent streams. The halogenated organic gas process, or HOG scrubber for short, intercepts the chemicals vented through the plant's exhaust ducts. Inside a stacked duct, many different plastic surfaces divert the airstream from rising straight through the cylinder. From the top of the stack, like a waterfall, the HOG solution flows down from surface to surface. On its way up, the chemically polluted air contacts the alkaline fluid on its way down. The pollutants are absorbed in the solution and are carried to the bottom of the tower. The fluid with the absorbed pollutants is pumped to a reactor connected to the bottom of the stack, where the chlorine reacts with the HOG solution to form a salt. This contaminated liquid gets pumped through to a regenerator, which chills the slurry to remove the salt, regenerate part of the HOG solution, and recover a residual organic compound. The last step in the process, a polishing filter, removes the last traces of pollutants to ensure a hazard-free air emission. The key to the success of this scrubber lies in the patent-pending HOG solution, a highly alkaline brown viscous liquid in a non-toxic polymer base. The polymer base makes it a non-aqueous liquid which allows it to absorb organic chlorine toxins better than a water-based solution. Most currently operating industrial scrubbers can be converted to the HOG technology by adding a reactor tank, an in situ regenerator, and a polishing scrubber. Some plants may choose to sequence it after the primary scrubber to work as a secondary unit. As the environment battles to recover from years of unregulated abuse, advancing technology that helps reduce the strain imposed by industry becomes more and more critical. Manufacturers constantly struggle to create products for a new and better tomorrow, and now they must ensure that their factories don't destroy the future they're trying to improve. Find out how pre-consumption recycling helps minimize our waste stream, and a new product packaging breakthrough was revealed. Next on Today's Environment.
America's trash cans are filling up. In 1970, there were over 18,000 active landfills in the U.S. Now there are about 6,000. The message rings loud and clear. We can't afford to squander the land devoted to our waste. This next segment takes a closer look.
Imagine this entire warehouse in a landfill. Surplus packaging, ordered but never used, fills hundreds of acres in dumps and waste sites across the nation. Banished to the graveyard before they've even had a chance to provide any useful function, these discarded containers, one company's trash, may prove to be another's treasure. Packages that are not right for one product can often be perfect for another. Pre-consumption recycling, or pre-cycling, finds alternative uses for jars, bottles, cans, and other packages that would otherwise never make it into the market. One company specializing in finding homes for excess packaging, McKernan Packaging Clearinghouse, actively searches for this surplus inventory and spares our landfills the waste. They preach the doctrine of waste minimization and attempt to show manufacturers that the obsolete, unused containers cluttering their warehouse could be very valuable to someone else. Packaging design changes, company mergers, or unrealized sales projections can all generate a major waste problem from excess containers. Often this inventory cannot be recycled because of the different materials blended together to make it. Most packages can be used for more than one product without undergoing costly or subsidized recycling. Some labeled empty cans can even be erased or covered and relabeled. Selling excess packaging material can transform a costly solid waste expense to a welcome revenue stream on the balance sheet. It's a welcome relief for the environment, too. Sources at the McKernan Packaging Clearinghouse quote that packaging materials make up 20% of the weight and 50% of the volume of all solid waste. They actively try to educate manufacturers in the packaging industries about efficiency and how they can reduce their packaging waste. Using stock components, designing with recyclable materials, and not over-ordering make up just some of the techniques that can reduce solid waste. With product packaging already clogging our supply of landfill space, it remains critical that virgin packaging be put to use and not disposed of before it serves its intended function. Some waste is unavoidable, but manufacturing a package just to throw it away empty and unused shows a reckless disregard for our environment and natural resources. Because we're in a world where landfill space dwindles daily, and there is no longer an away where we can throw things.
Here's an idea. Bring a coffee cup to work and leave it there. You might keep about 200 disposable cups out of the trash. Convince enough other people to do it, and you may save a landfill. Get involved with today's environment today.
Under this helmet, I've got one of the most potent weapons in the war against pollution, the human brain. The ideas, innovations, and inventions that will preserve the planet all originate in someone's mind. So keep thinking and watch this.
Chemistry. Everything on Earth can be broken down into a specific combination of elements and minerals.
But the chemicals in our ecosystem very often negatively react with the chemistry created by modern-day living. Now, product packaging, well, this looms as one of the chief offenders in today's environmental blight.
Many plastics contain compounds that resist recycling and release toxins into the air if incinerated. The best wrappings for preserving food aren't always the best for preserving the earth. But one emerging coating process strives to keep both goals in mind. The quartz-like film being applied here by AERCO coating technology can improve a plastic wrapping's oxygen barrier by 120 times. It also increases water vapor resistance by 45 times without impairing recyclability or adding chemicals that release harmful toxins. The QLF coating covers flexible plastic film with a hard, colorless, transparent, inorganic thin film. Better water vapor and oxygen blockage usually means extended shelf life for many products. This alone can prevent enormous amounts of solid waste created by merchandise whose time in the store goes beyond the expiration date. By applying this microscopically thin silicone dioxide coating, wrapping manufacturers attempt to combine the storage capability of glass with the flexibility of plastic. Advanced vacuum technology spawned this surface film process. By using a process called chemical vapor plasma deposition, this glass-like coating actually grows its thin protective layer onto a plastic substrate. The chemical used for this film contains no chlorine, so it can be incinerated with no harmful byproducts. AERCO sources point out that the coating leaves most plastic film completely transparent, microwavable, and the chemistry does not interfere with recycling. So an environmentally friendly coating that helps extend the shelf life of products and improves recycling options for the discarded package helps limit the waste stream in two important ways. One snack food manufacturer estimates that they use over 100 billion pounds of packaging every year. So when you consider that one producer generates that amount of waste, it becomes very apparent that a transparent coating, which improves shelf life and recyclability, can have a dramatic impact on pollution reduction.
With waste an ever-present concern, one of the best ways to improve a good product might be to make a better package.
Stand by. There's new hope for a smog-free future through no combustion technology, plus a railroad gets on the right track. Next on Today's Environment.
With combustion, no matter how you strike it, you always get emissions. Most vehicles on the highways today use combustion engines. If we don't find a way to control those emissions, The combustion that takes us from here to there may drive us to oblivion. But where there's innovation, there's hope, like in this next story.
Engine exhaust, the toxic emissions from the internal combustion engine. Automobiles and combustion-powered generating plants share the blame for creating the vast majority of smog and carbon monoxide polluting our air. But on the horizon, a no-combustion technology may bring us a way to generate power without creating emissions. It's called the fuel cell. Can you imagine a city bus that doesn't belch exhaust at every corner? Powered by electricity-generating fuel cells, this bus produces no emissions and plenty of hope for a smog-free future. The fuel cell engine can allow the vehicle all the flexibility of a gas or diesel engine, but produces no harmful emissions, only warm, moist air. It's not a battery. Batteries delivered stored power while consuming themselves and must be recharged with electricity from central power plants, which damage the environment. The fuel cell, like this one from Ballard Power Systems, electrochemically converts fuel into electricity. A plastic electrolyte called a proton exchange membrane is layered between platinum-coated electrodes. At the negative electrode, hydrogen fuel is broken into electrons and protons. The electrons produce electricity while the protons react with oxygen from the air at the positive electrode to form water and heat. Each cell generates about 7/10 of a volt of electricity. Stacking them together adds up to the necessary power level. Whether driving a car or bus, or generating electricity for a home, building, or an entire factory, fuel cells deliver a high power to weight ratio and are nearly 3 times as efficient as an internal combustion engine. No combustion means no emissions, and the modular power plants can deliver electricity within a building, which eliminates the need for unsightly power lines running through the landscape. The fuel cells adapt easily to alternative fuels. Hydrogen gas feeds the buses. Natural gas powers the stationary plants, and methanol will probably be the fuel for passenger vehicles. In Europe, a minivan powered by a Ballard fuel cell has already completed thousands of miles of testing, and many of the world's automakers are developing designs for a fuel cell passenger vehicle. Research and development continues to improve the fuel cell. Every new generation delivers more power from a smaller and lighter cell, which increases range and passenger capacity. The future looks positive for reaching the goal of making the buses and stationary power plants commercially available by 1998. Automobiles powered by fuel cells will be commercially available after the year 2000. Generating electricity and powering transportation without creating emissions is no longer an environmentalist fantasy. It's a dream come true.
On most days, this is how I get to work. It's great exercise and it doesn't pollute. But sometimes I have to travel distances beyond the range of these pedals. Unfortunately, most modern transportation adds to our pollution problem. Fortunately, there are people doing something about it. Just watch.
Pure power. A modern locomotive. Nothing else can move as much freight over land at one time. One train with 4 locomotives can pull the equivalent of 140 highway trailers loaded with cargo. Without these Goliaths of the rails, moving goods and people would waste enormous energy, contribute to pollution, and clog our nation's highways even further.
Currently, railroads offer a relatively energy-efficient means of transporting large quantities of goods to and from communities of all sizes. But for some railroads, merely being energy efficient isn't enough.
Like the Union Pacific Railroad. In a statement to all employees, their top management clearly expressed its vision that the railroad would be recognized as an environmentally responsible company. They challenged workers to examine all phases of their overall operations and personal activities for ways to become more environmentally friendly. Water quality, waste management, and air quality earned top billing as high priority targets. Response came in a variety of ways. At a cost of over $3 million, they designed a washer to efficiently clean locomotives and reduce the amounts of water, electricity, and soap used in the process. Locomotives must be kept clean so that they won't contribute to local non-point source pollution when passing through rainstorms. This also provides a safer surface on which workers can move around. Constant washing consumes thousands of gallons of water, but now specially designed high-pressure sprayers and brushes reduce the amount of water used to about 1/3 of a normal wash. And all wash water flows into collection drains so that the grime and water can be recaptured and properly treated. Fueling procedures also became the target for better waste management. Refueling a locomotive takes anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 gallons of diesel fuel. Large spills used to be very common, but with the use of a special nozzle which cuts off automatically, pollution from fuel spills becomes minimal. In any case, completely enclosed fueling stations catch any spilled fuel in drip pans and recycle it. Large diesel engines like those in a locomotive are apt to leak lube oil, fuel, and coolants. That's why Union Pacific spends millions of dollars equipping every engine with a retention tank. This will help prevent leaks from ever reaching the tracks or ground below, and the captured liquids get recycled. Air quality also poses a very important challenge. Dark engine smoke means more pollution and less operating efficiency. Constant maintenance and the visual monitoring of smoke keeps the locomotive's performance high and air pollution low. Oil filters are cleaned, drained, and sent to be recycled.
Every day, it becomes more and more critical that railroads and all mass transportation industries make a maximum effort to limit their environmental impact.
A nationwide effort launched a volunteer cleaning crew in America's beaches for 3 hours one day. In that short time, they collected over 2 million pounds of debris. Trash not only fouls our shores, it can be fatal to marine animals. If you're lucky enough to live near a beach, please help keep it clean. Hope this show sparked your attention. Join us next time as we explore more environmental solutions on Today's Environment.
To purchase a complete written transcript or a videotape copy of this or any edition of Today's Environment, write to this address or call 1-800-877-7769.
If you know of any interesting environmental success stories, call us at 407-997-9800. The preceding program was sponsored in part by a grant from Paul Mitchell Salon Hair Care. This has been a presentation of 5 Star Productions USA.